Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Verikalpa, Tuomio, out April 19th on Scarlet Records. The album has 12 tracks, 54 minutes in length, and this is the band's 4 full-length studio album. They are a Finnish folk metal band. Now, when it comes to the design of this record, I feel like the length of the album really hurts the record. And it hurts the record because it dilutes the experience. And if you look back at their debut album being 36 minutes in length, that record had a little bit of a better feel, a better design that allowed you to stay engaged and connected with the songs, but the overall experience didn't overburden the listener. So you're ready to go back again and listen to it time and time and time again because it was short-lived. The experience was short-lived. This album, because of its length, it almost makes you disconnect with the record the deeper you get into it. And what that does is it gives you this sensation that the beginning of the album, or the first half of the album, has a lot more quality than the second half, because maybe that's why you're disconnecting from it. And it's not true. The album is actually very balanced in terms of the quality and in terms of what it offers. It's just the length of the record that allows you to feel a little bit less immersed in the experience of listening to it, and that hurts the playability of the record, and it hurts the record from an overall experience standpoint. Now, when it comes into the sound, this album is the traditional Verikalpa record. So if you listen to them before, if you listen to the 3 previous albums, I don't think this album is going to surprise you. I don't think you're going to see anything on this record that you haven't seen before. You're going to see a heavy sound. You're going to see some grit. You're going to see some amazing folk melodies. The keys playing a big impact, rugged experience, rugged vocals. I mean, this album has all the ingredients that we've seen from this band across the previous 3 records. Maybe the change that this album offers, it's more from a maturity and songwriting standpoint. The songs feel, sound, and come together in a more textured, more layered way. This is a more complete record from that standpoint. It's not as simple. Once again, if you go back to the debut record, not just because it's 36 minutes in length, but the overall experience of the songs of the album is one of simplicity. The record doesn't really force you to peel layers. What you see is what you get, and that's what the album offers. This record plays a little bit differently. It still has the same ingredients. The recipes are changing. So you're going to find songs on this album that have a lot more texture, that have a lot more layers, that have a lot more dynamic elements within the songs, the movement from choruses to verses, allowing the tracks at times to feel like they offer you, changes and switches in terms of the direction in which the songs are going. It's an album that's more evolved, like I said, from a songwriting perspective, and then obviously that evolution is going to have an impact in terms of how the songs are delivered and how the songs are presented. The ingredients, like I said, are exactly the same, just the recipe that is changing, and I think that's the biggest step up and the biggest evolution and the biggest difference sound-wise that this album offers, because you're still going to find that this is a very centric record when it comes to the guitar sound. The guitar sound and the keyboard sound are the 2 main nucleuses, are the 2 pillars that really drive what the record is all about, that really drive what the sound of Verikalpa is all about. And from the guitar standpoint, you're going to get those heavy riffs, you're going to get a heavy sound, and on this album, the heaviness of their sound comes through in waves, is not constant, is not linear from the first to the last song. It has pockets, it has ebbs and flows, and that also makes the experience feel more dynamic within the songs and the overall experience as well. But you're still going to find that to be a key characteristic of the guitar sound. You're going to find great melodic riffs as well, as you always do in a Verikalpa record. So you see that side of the sound staying very connected with the previous records, but then going in different directions because of what the songs dictate. And you see the same happening with the other pillar, the keys. The keys on this album are really interesting because they always become that focus when it comes to the melodic backdrop and also the folky backdrop of the band. The keys are this crucial piece of the puzzle that allow you to connect with the folkier side of the band. Obviously also the more melodic side of the band, but more so the folkier side of the band really coming from the keys. What I found interesting on this record is that the same way the guitars create some ebbs and flows with the heaviness that they have, either increasing it or decreasing it. You're going to find the same ebbs and flows happening on the keyboard side by having a little bit more of a folky impact, having less of a folky impact, introducing almost some cinematic symphonic elements, removing those, being really sporadic and using them as nuances. Don't expect this to be a symphonic record, by no means, but there are some cinematic symphonic elements coming from the keys in certain key songs, but really sporadic, real nuances, but enough to create those ebbs and flows so that you're not always getting the same style, the same melody, the same sound, the same experience. The keys, while being very constant throughout the record, they also create ebbs and flows by the changes that they offer, by the texture that they add, and by the dynamics that they create. So you have two cornerstones here, guitars and keys, creating a lot of movement within these songs and working in a very similar way while providing two different experiences. Then on top of that, you have a consistent vocal performance, that rugged, that almost like crawling out of a hole, troll style rugged vocal performance that's become the DNA and the trademark effect of Verikalpa is alive and well on this record. Super consistent from the first all the way to the last song. And when you look at this record from a global perspective, when you look at it as a whole, you gotta say that track by track, this is their best album, because it's the one where you see the removal of some simplicity and the addition of some more texture, some more creativity, some more growth, some more maturity. But then the length of the album kind of destroys that a little bit, because it doesn't allow you to completely get everything out of every single song. You rather start to feel immersed in the experience right from the get-go, because the album starts off really strong, but you start to feel like there's too much of a good thing, and the disconnect that happens in the last third of the album really takes something away from a record that deserved a little bit more of attention across each and every single song. A shorter length record would have been so much better for the album from an overall perspective. It would have given every song the right amount of the attention, the right amount of eyeballs, of being on a pedestal that each song on this record really deserves. As far as favorite tracks are concerned, I want to start off with Laulava, Vainaja. Now this is my favorite, this is the second track on the record, and is my favorite track on the entire album. It has this incredible folky melody that's super contagious, that's an earworm, and from the get-go, you're glued to it. That melody is what really glues you to this song, and you get that melody from the keys and also from the guitars, working really well in creating that melodic wall of sound that is the trademark DNA of this song, and it creates the right movement, the right ebbs and flows as the song progresses. The verses are more guitar heavy, and then the chorus is definitely a little bit more melodic. It's a 180. It goes 180 from what the verses are offering to what the chorus is giving you, but somehow that 180 happens in a very nice transitional way, so the song stays connected and you don't really feel like the track is falling apart, or that the two are so far apart from one another that there is a disconnect. The song has this really great flow, super connected, very continuous, and you're able to digest the heavier side of the track with the more melodic side of the track almost in a seamless way. Next we have Sammalsynti, and this song has like a really high tempo. It's one of those Verikalpa super energetic, intense songs, perhaps more intense vocally, more energetic musically. That's the style of the track, and it's an interesting song because it feels more intense, it feels more energetic both musically and vocally in the verses, and then it slows down in the chorus. The chorus takes a little bit more of a break, and that is a different approach, a different style that allows you to feel like the song gets off to the races immediately, and then when you're almost tired, that's when the chorus comes in, which allows you to catch your breath and prepare you for what comes next. Now in the middle of this track, there's a little bit of a bridge with the heavier guitars and bass working together, and I thought that was really cool, and using layers to the vocals in some key spots of this track also added great character to the vocals, almost like a choir style approach, which will work really well when it comes to a live setting and a live performance. This song has a lot of great components that can be explored in that sort of setting, specifically coming from the vocal side, but also the musical approach of being more heavy and compact in the verses, and then more bright and melodic with those pauses in the chorus. Is a track that has a great dynamic all around. Last but not least, Hakkaa. Now this song is rich in terms of how it sounds, in terms of how it feels. It has a great guitar sound all around. It has some sprinkled in cinematic, symphonic keys, elements that I thought elevated the quality of the track. It gave the track more texture, more substance. It made the song richer. Like I said, it's a very rich sounding song, not just because of the impact of the guitars, bass, and drums, but because of these keyboard elements that are added onto the track in order to create this almost cinematic vibe of how the song is coming across, not from beginning to end, just in key moments, which allows the track to have a lot of moments. This is a song that is not just verses and chorus. This is a song that's built of different momentums, of different moments, of different atmospheres, of different sound experiences. But it's a story within the story of the album, but it's a story that's so well told musically and so well told vocally that the track just moves seamless from all of these different pieces, and they all add a different idea. They all add a different experience to how you digest and to how you approach the song. One of the most interesting tracks from my standpoint, specifically because of what the keys are adding. They're not just adding that keyboard folky melody, that Verikalpa folky melody. No, they're going a little bit outside the box, bringing in some cinematic elements, bringing in some atmospheric cinematic elements, some interesting textures from that perspective that enrich the song, enrich the sound, and definitely enrich the overall atmosphere and experience of the track itself. This is it, Verikalpa with Tuomio, out April 19th on Scarlet Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section, and I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.